If any of you watched my commentary that I did about Susan Rice and that threat she put up against Snoop on Twitter, you will know that I slipped in there something about Susan Rice's son. It was very brief, to the point where if you was talking over it, you would have missed it. I never mentioned his name, mainly because I didn't know his name. I only knew a little bit of what I was about to say. Well, thanks to one of my subscribers, and shout out to you. Let me get that person's name. I want to make sure I shout them out. Ricky Ricardo sent me this link from an article that was posted in 2018. The person you see on your screen is Susan Rice's son, John David Rice. Looks more like her creepy husband than her. Like almost all the way. And literally has almost the same exact political views as his dad. So we know which way he wants to pull more from, and it's definitely not from the side of his mother. So we about to get into this. I'm telling you, this is going to be the year of the exposure. We talking about it all this year. If people would just keep their mouths shut, this kind of stuff wouldn't happen. So, John David Rice Cameron, that's his full name, can trace his conservative roots to his middle school years. Back then, his father would often have talk radio on during rides home from school or tennis practice. Sometimes my dad would listen to Rush Limbaugh. And you know what just happened to good old Rush. Rush Limbaugh is on the fast track to probably damn near getting rushed to the hospital nowadays, if he ain't careful. And he would kind of argue with him, recalls Rice Cameron, age 20. At the time, he was 20. Now, this is 2018, so he's like 22 now. A sophomore at Stanford University. I just find myself agreeing with basically everything Rush Limbaugh was saying. So it sounds to me like he is against his whatever his parents' views are, which actually segues into the next sentence. Rice Cameron's parents are Democrats. His mother, Susan Rice, served in the Obama administration, first as UN ambassador, then as national security advisor. But despite his parents' political leanings, they believe extensively in debate and engaging the other side and exposing people to different viewpoints, he said. Rice Cameron started listening to talk radio on his own. That's when he discovered Mark Levin, saying the firebrand pundit became his ultimate political hero. He'd talk about John Locke, and so I'd go and read some John Locke. He'd talk about John Smith, so I'd go and read about John Smith. He'd talk about the Federalist Papers, so I would read those, Rice Cameron said. I discovered the intellectual roots of liberty. Fast forward to today. Rice Cameron, recently described by one campus publication as Stanford's most outspoken political provocateur, is taking his passion for liberty and advancing it in Stanford University, his mother's alma mater, as president of the college Republicans. If we're going to promote the liberty movement, if the liberty movement is going to succeed, we need to do something about these college campuses, he told the College Fix in a telephone interview. We need to ensure the liberty movement is heard. Indeed, the Stanford College Republican so-called grand finale event of the school year almost didn't happen. The group fought red tape to bring Turning Point USA's Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens, the Coonstress, to campus tonight for a Make Stanford Great Again event. Owens' "Don't Call Me a Victim" message has been praised by both President Donald Trump and megastar Kanye West in recent tweets. But Turning Point USA has been accused of less than highbrow tactics in its effort to advance conservative and free market messages to college kids. Rice Cameron said he isn't fazed by that aggressive approach. It's combative conservatism, said Rice Cameron, who was recently appointed activism director for the California College Republicans. You don't provoke for the sake of provoking because that is not principled, but you do not let the fact that someone might get triggered prevent you from saying or doing something important. We must break this leftist monopoly. To that end, the Stanford College Republicans have had a busy year. In the fall, the group hosted terrorism expert Robert Spencer for a talk on radical Islam. Prior to the event, leftist students blocked efforts to promote it. The speech itself prompted a large protest, and conflicting reports of physical altercations ensued. Now, that part that I just mentioned was the little piece that I touched on with the Susan Rice situation. I'm actually really glad now that this article was sent to me, because something told me I would not have thought to go and look this up myself. And I'm just being completely honest. Especially, I was like, I'm glad that it was teased, that I teased it, but I'm glad that this article was sent to me so now I can follow up with what I teased. Because I'm noticing that a lot of people have not done commentaries about Susan Rice's son and his political leanings, but she has all this smoke for Snoop. But when you're listening, like I said, I'm not even halfway through the article yet. We get into the good part right now. Earlier this year, the college Republicans pushed for a Stanford professor to either resign or cut ties with the campus anti-fascist network he co-founded. Then the group used public pressure to get the administration to agree to allow it to use an American flag on its t-shirts. Rice Cameron had a hand in all of it. 3 months ago, he became the group's president. His activism has been inspired in part by the Tea Party movement, calling its platform true constitutional conservatism. And what does his mother, one of President Obama's chief lieutenants, think of her son's belief and actions? She and I disagree on a number of things, and we agree a lot, he said. She has always set an example of principle, entering public service for the right reasons, because you care, because you want to serve your country. Those are the kind of leaders I see in people like Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, the House Freedom Caucus, he added. I'll even say that about President Obama. He has some pretty destructive ideas. Most of his policies were wrong-headed, but I think he's an honorable man who entered politics for the right reasons despite having ideas and principles I have a hard time swallowing. Rice Cameron had been a Cruz supporter during the primary and even called the Mark Levin show to talk to his political hero about it. It was one of 2 times Rice Cameron spoke on air to the quote-unquote great one. Another time they spoke about an op-ed Rice Cameron wrote for the Stanford Review headline Students for Justice in Palestine, linked to terrorist affiliate. Levin shared the column on social media and it made Rice Cameron's day. The radio show host had no idea he was Rice's son. More recently, his identity is starting to be discussed publicly. A recent interview on PragerU delved into the issue. Rice Cameron was also profiled recently by Stanford Politics magazine, which noted his father, Ian Cameron, also a Stanford alumnus, is a former executive producer for ABC News. Susan Rice told the magazines her political differences with her son are not an issue. I love him very much and I'm very proud of him, she said. And even though we may differ on many substantive views, not all, that doesn't get in the way of my ability to support and encourage him and love him the way you hope any parent would. Jake, like me, is an African American and mixed parentage, Rice also said. And I'm surprised he actually put that. I'm surprised he didn't go and straight and say I'm mixed or I'm biracial. He said Jake, like me, is an African American and of mixed heritage. And he understands, as I do, the importance of the equality rights for all. That's an area where we share a strong commitment. The article also noted the fact that Susan Rice's mother is well known on campus, but not the root of his notoriety. Rather, it's the particular brand of politics Rice Cameron has helped bring to Stanford, the report notes, describing as a Trumpian. Rice Cameron told the College Fix he supports Trump. He said Republicans control Congress, the executive branch, most state legislatures. There's been more constitutional judges appointed and conservative media is stronger than ever. Even Hollywood is starting to turn. Look at West's endorsement of the Coonstress. So college campuses are basically the last bastion of leftist monopolization, he said. You have a campus left who believe they have the right to dictate who comes on the campus, what gets to be said, what gets taught. They control almost all student governments. They have an almost complete monopolization of the campus press. It's rammed down your throat since the start of freshman year, he said, of leftism. We really are fighting for a marketplace of ideas. We are fighting for our right to have our ideas be heard. So y'all just heard that entire article right there concerning John David Rice Cameron. And this is Susan Rice's son, the same Susan Rice who came at Snoop the way that she did. Now, like I said, this article was posted 2 years ago in 2018 when he was only 20. So he was a sophomore then. So that means he's about to graduate this year. But she had all that smoke for Snoop. But this story right here was a hidden secret. But look at that altercation they got into. And this guy literally put himself in the position to be the leader and spearhead a lot of right-wing conservative type positions. He put himself in that position. Crazy, isn't it? Really crazy. But this is who her son is. But she had all the smoke in the world for Snoop. Even though, as of recently, I heard that he kind of teeter-tottered on what he said and kind of backpedaled a little bit based on some stuff that I've heard from various commentators. But that still doesn't erase the fact that this is how her son thinks. And I can't help but think that just looking at this picture, he looks like he's about to go purging. Like, he looks nothing like his mother. He pulled all from his dad. Like, if you saw a picture of his dad, you would understand why. But very interesting read right here. And I'm sure there's probably some more additional information, but I think we got all we needed just from reading that alone. Like I said, this guy put himself in a position to be the head and the leader of almost every conservative group on that campus. I would not be surprised if he, like his mother, entered into politics. Like he said, Rush Limbaugh is his hero. That's all we need to know. I wonder how he's feeling right now with all the recent news that has come out about Rush Limbaugh. You know, with his advanced leveled lung cancer. I wonder how he feels about that. But like I said, the fact that he said that this man was his personal hero. Anyone who says that about a person like Rush Limbaugh or Rush Limbaugh, period, definitely gets the side eye. For real. And the fact that he has melanated roots and he's saying that definitely gets the side eye. But that's really all I have for y'all right now concerning Susan Rice's son, John David Rice Cameron. I hope y'all learned something new. I definitely did. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter if you have not done so already. Have your notifications turned on, and I will talk to you in the next one.